Hello, welcome to the next part of the Sandman and the Turtles by Michael Morbergo. So yesterday we left, Polly and Michael had gone over to the Coracle Island and they left the Sandman sat outside because he couldn't fit through the door. And Polly and Michael had gone into the lighthouse. When they got there, they found it just as Dadsy's story had described. It was empty. There was a teapot on the table with a few dry tea leaves. The Welsh cake tin was empty. There was a bottle of vodka and a glass on the side. And they found feathers by the open window. And Polly finished the chapter with the words, "Shivery," she said. So, it was a long way down. I was looking out the window at the sea seething around the rocks below. The Sandman was sitting with his turtles and twiddling his finger in his ear. And back on land I could see Uncle Rob out on his tractor with the seagulls flying all around him. Polly was calling me, "Mikey, Mikey, quick, come and look at this." When I turned round, she was nowhere to be seen. "I'm up here," she said from somewhere up above me. And then I saw the ladder and the trapdoor in the ceiling. I climbed up into a smaller room with a domed glass roof and windows all around. And in the middle of it stood a great lamp, twice as high as Polly, who was standing beside it, her eyes bright with excitement. "We could light it," she said. "You can't," I said. "I can," said Polly, and I could see she meant it. "I got matches," and she had too. "I found them in the drawer of that table over there, and there's oil in those cans too. Lots of it. All we've got to do is pour it in and light it up. Simple. Only I can't lift the cans. Too heavy for me. But you could." I turned away. I didn't want to stay, not anymore. It was like walking on someone's grave. "Oh, come on, Mikey, please," she said. "Everything else Dadsy told us has come true, hasn't it? We've only got to light the lamp and it'll bring old Sergey, whatchamacallin, back for his tea and his Welsh cakes, just like he said. You'll see." I didn't much like the idea of bringing Sergey Ivanovich Prokofiev back from the dead, yet I was a little bit tempted. "Please, Mikey, please." She was holding out the matches. "I'll let you light it," she said, wielding expertly. So I was persuaded, conned, bullied. Call it what you will. It wasn't difficult to fill up the lamp. The first few matches might have been a bit damp and they refused to light. But at the fifth attempt, the match caught and I touched it to the wick. The yellow fire ran around the wick and the heat of it forced us back. We stood and watched it, but it was so bright you couldn't look at it for long. "That'll bring him back," Polly said. "I know it will." But I wasn't quite sure. I wasn't sure of anything anymore. All the way back astride the turtles, we kept looking back and hoping for the first glimpse of Sergey's sailing ship hoving to round the headland. The return trip wasn't nearly so frightening, but just the same I was glad when it was over. We waited and watched together on the beach, but all we saw was the St. David lifeboat beating its way through the heavy swell out beyond Coracle Rock. The Sandman saw it too. "Maybe I could borrow that one," he said, "just to get me home." But Polly explained what the lifeboat was for. Do you know what a lifeboat's for? Can you use it just to take a trip somewhere? It's there to save lives, isn't it? The Sandman shrugged off his disappointment. "No matter," he said. "Something will turn up. It always does. Maybe I'll have to build my own coracle like I did before. But it takes forever and it's a terrible lot of work." "We'll help you," said Polly. "Won't we, Mikey?" The Sandman smiled at us. "You're a darling little people," he said. "And I wouldn't want to be putting you to any more trouble. But if you could maybe bring us down some more bread for me bladder-rack sandwiches, I'd love you forever. So I would. And maybe a little milk for the boys too." We turned to go. "You won't forget now, or we'll be dropping off to sleep again. I've done enough of that for a lifetime." "We won't forget," said Polly. And we left them on the beach and ran off up the cliff path. On Buzzard Rock we stopped to look back out to sea. There was still no sailing ship. "He'll come," said Polly. "He must come." It was too light to be sure, but we both of us thought we could just make out the light in the lighthouse glinting white against the red of the setting sun. Polly put her hands to her mouth and shouted, "Come back, Sergey Ivanovich!" And she looked at me for help. Procavive, I said. Procavive, she yelled. Come back! So, what do you think? Is Polly's plan going to work? Is Sergi going to come back in the same way that the Sandman came to life? You'll have to come back tomorrow to see if we find out. See you later. Take care. Be safe. Bye.